Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. I'm still on that old school military surplus bandwagon, and today I'm going to be building a complete LBV 88 enhanced load bearing rig from the individual integrated fighting system. Now, a lot of you may not have heard of the individual integrated fighting system. A lot of you have probably seen the LBV 88 and the LBV 88 Enhanced and thought, no, that's sort of novel, but you sort of ignored it for bigger, greater things like Molly. Molly, Molly, Molly. Oh, sweet Molly. Molly's been around for a long time now, and a lot of people started off with Molly in M81 Woodland. And it has gone on from there. 3 generations of camouflage patterns. Actually, more than that, because they produced it in desert pattern as well. So you had M81 Woodland, you had the 3-color desert, you had universal camouflage pattern, UCP, and OCP. But before they had the OCP, they simply copied multicam. Everything is Molly now. I mean, everything. You can't buy anything. You can buy book bags for your kids, to use at school that has PALS webbing on it for Molly pouches. But the individual integrated fighting system was going to be a stopgap for future development of the Molly. Now, when A.L.I.C.E was living out its final days, it was still a very good system. It had some drawbacks, it had some failings, but I guess soldiers use their soldier technology to take care of any deficiencies they may happen to have with their gear. So they made it work. As a matter of fact, I think it was Ranger Rick's manuals. It's actually filled with all kinds of hacks to improve your A.L.I.C.E system. And but it was trying to move into the future, but still being able to utilize all of that old A.L.I.C.E stuff. Exactly the same way the old A.L.I.C.E stuff was designed to still be able to be incorporated with and to integrate older things like the Linclo series of pouches and gear, and even the M1956 canvas stuff. So it's a fairly short period when you look at everything from M1956 pattern stuff through A.L.I.C.E, and then you see this huge lineage of things with Molly. The individual integrated fighting system has a very short lifespan in that timeline. All of the gear that I have seen from that, which is very, very limited, it's good kit. It's good, solid gear. Just like any other system, it has its failings, it has its shortcomings in certain aspects. There's 1 or 2 little items that became problematic, but those things can be taken care of, they can be repaired, they can be replaced, and still be able to have those things be a completely viable, fully functional, and fantastic piece of contemporary kit. Whether you're building a tactical rig, a tactical system, or you're just trying to use it for backpacking and camping, it all still works. Now, originally, they took that idea of the individual integrated fighting system vest from earlier Linclo designs for vests back during the Vietnam War. And none of those really panned out. But the only one that really did come forth that the troops really liked was the 40 millimeter grenade vest. And but when they designed that, they absolutely 100% had to have the pistol belt for magazine pouches, especially those individuals that were getting those experimental under the M16 grenade launchers and things like that, which were the predecessors to the M203 grenade launcher, simply because you had to have a place to put your M16 magazines as well. So that pistol belt incorporated with it, you carry your magazine pouches, you would carry holster, pistol magazine pouches if you wanted, canteen pouches, a butt pack. All those things would be on the belt. But the grenade vest, the grenadier's vest, was really, really popular. And I think that is the popularity of that vest is really what drove the development of the LBV 88 and the LBV 88 Enhanced. Now, before we get started, putting the pistol belt on or anything else like that, you need to size it. Now, whoever had this before me, it may have come from the factory like that, but they had these beautiful little swirly knots in these things. It was really, really nice. I had to undo those because this doesn't fit real well. So, as you can see, these are evenly spaced or somewhat. But what we need to do is we need to expand this so we can actually have the vest come together in the front, because if you don't and you happen to be larger framed, you wind up having your pouches in your armpits. So we want that in front. So I'm just going to pull that down a good little bit on both sides and sort of work that in, separate it just a little bit. Now I'm going to put this on and buckle the buckles here, and then on each side, one at a time, I'm going to cinch these up and then check it to see if the space is even. If not, I will adjust so that they are. Now I still need to do a lot more research on the individual integrated fighting system to really get into the fine minutiae of things. But from my take, the LBV 88 was designed specifically to replace the suspenders and the magazine pouches of the A.L.I.C.E system. It is designed to utilize a pistol belt with these loops, pistol belt with the loops, and you have to have hydration. This was before camelbacks, so there's no camelback pouch or any hydration pouch or anything like that in there, so you have to have a way to carry your hydration, which is the canteen pouches. But everyone knows today that the philosophy of how many magazines you need to have in a firefight is definitely more than 6. So being able to carry magazine pouches with additional magazines, your canteens, and a potential of other type of pouches as well. I did not bring them out because I honestly didn't think I would have room for them, but I have A.L.I.C.E saw pouches. I have 4 of them, and you could definitely set up your rig to incorporate those on the belt as well. But when they were originally designing this, they were actually planning on creating woodland camouflage pouches, just like this MOLLE pouch. And you could definitely make these MOLLE pouches work on a pistol belt. It's super easy. But even though I have the pouches to do that, I think I'm going to stick pretty much to the manner in which it was intended to be used and the manner it was designed. So even though I could do a complete M81 woodland kit with all the pouches I'd need for it, I'm going to stick with the original idea of utilizing the A.L.I.C.E equipment with this particular rig. Maybe in the future I'll get another one and I'll use all woodland camo pouches that are MOLLE and utilize that. But I got to save my woodland MOLLE pouches for my woodland flick I'm building. Now this process would be ultra simple if you have a buddy to help you adjust these, because they can do all of that work for you. Now I'm going to pull this around. I'm going to get these to where they are close, and I'm going to pull these side adjusters down just a little bit more and work those. Keep that centered. Right now it's still just a little snug. You know, people that aren't in their 60s and they're fighting age and fit, they won't have to worry so much about these adjustments. They probably fit right out of the plastic bag. Okay, now this is somewhat loose, and my adjusters are pretty much right where they need to be. I'm happy with that fit. Got a little bit of room. And from this position, with these like completely closed and tightened up, just a little bit more. If I needed to put this over an insulation layer or over body armor of any type, then I could adjust these out and they would still be relatively in position, because you're probably only looking at about a gap of maybe 4 inches, and that should be sufficient. Oh, I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and tie off the cord locks, and we'll be ready to start getting to work. Just want to go over real quick the differences between the LBV 88 and the LVB 88 Enhanced. The LVB 88 Enhanced is what I'm wearing. It was brought about by trying to fix issues that soldiers had with the original version. The original version had straight up and down magazine pouches, and they found it problematic getting in and taking them out at this position. These are much easier because they are diagonal. They still retained the snap closure, pull webbing, and Velcro, just like the original ones did, and they did not change in any way, shape, or form the grenade pouches. Now also a big change was the switch to mesh, nylon mesh, as opposed to the Cadora nylon that was woodland camo. Soldiers complained about it just being way too hot, and so they replaced it with the mesh. But other than that, it's essentially the same rig. The LVB 88 and the LVB 88 Enhanced both have incredibly well padded shoulder straps for the harness. They have well, it's a different company now, but they had Nexus buckles. These are Fastex buckles. Lost it there for a second, but Fastex buckles, good quality stuff. Now, the changes made in these may seem very simple, but they were astronomical as far as improving the functionality and the purposeful use of this particular load-bearing vest. Now you can use any pistol belt with this, but this specific design was specifically designed for this system, and it's a lot easier to adjust than the older ones. You can see here you have a wraparound snap closure piece of webbing. You also have a lock, and it's got teeth on it. That's the adjuster. You can unlock it and adjust it, and then when you lock it down again, you have this little I guess a safety to go over the locking mechanism to keep it from popping open. Now to adjust it, you remove the safety. I'm assuming it's like a safety. And then you simply move the belt forward and pulling it out underneath that toothed lock and into the I guess the extent that you want it. And then once you have that, move it forward, make sure it's even, lock it down, pull your safety over that, and then snap, and that's it. Now I personally like to do mine symmetrically, so I'm going to go ahead and try this on, make sure it fits, and if it doesn't, I'll adjust it again, but I'm going to adjust it to where they are symmetrical. Now I have the pistol belt fully adjusted, I have my LVB fully adjusted. Now I'm going to attach the pistol belt to the vest. Now on both ends, which would be the front of the vest, there are 4 pistol belt loops with snaps and Velcro closures. You're going to open those up, peel back the Velcro, and then you're going to place your pistol belt over those, pulling them down. Velcro goes on top. And once you have that in place, you're going to wrap around the Velcro underneath, press it down, snap it in place. And you repeat that exact process on the other side as well. And before you go any further, make sure you try it on. Make sure that all of your adjustments fit. You have a little bit of sag here. I'm going to do a little bit of adjustment in front, because the pistol belt's now sitting on my hips. A couple inches here on either side, and then I'm going to adjust the back if necessary. That fits pretty good. It may not look the greatest because I'm a little large around the middle, but it feels where it's supposed to be. Now remember, we did not attach the middle two belt loops. We need those to be free for us to put our field pack on. So let's put that on now. Now, you need your individual field pack training, and it's going to go right here. First, make certain that you have your adjusting buckles on the back of your field pack, and that you have D-rings here. It will not work without the D-rings. So the first thing we're going to do, we are going to pull the adjustment strap out of the adjusters. You're going to feed those up through the D-rings. all the way. You are going to feed the strap through the other D-ring, through the bottom of the adjuster buckle, pull that through, feed it through the top and through the D-ring. On both sides. Now, with your excess, it should be good and tight. You can just feed that through your D-ring and in behind and down through the back portion. Again, you want this tight. Okay, now we're going to open up those belt loops like we did before. Put those up underneath here. And now we are going to feed the Velcro portion up through where it looks like an Alice clip would go, which you can actually use this with Alice clips on an Alice belt. Okay, now pull those through. Wrap it around the belt. Wrap the Velcro back behind it. Do that on both. And then you will feed this into that same slot and snap the buckles. This is very awkward, but that's how it works. And really, I mean, the snaps line up just the way they're supposed to. Just you're going through several layers of material. Okay, so now I have my field pack training attached properly to the LVB 88 Enhanced. Now, as far as your remainder of pouches, that's going to be, limited because you do not have a whole lot of usable space for an Alice pouch because you only have so much room in between here, and these belt loops are fairly thick. You have the adjustment lock here, you have hardware here, and you also have the bottoms of the magazine pouches that very easily could get in your way, so you're limited as to where you can put it. A magazine pouch is pretty much the only place you could put it would be right there, which doesn't leave a whole lot of room for much else, so your canteen would go here on either side. Now, you could very easily, in place of a magazine pouch, you could put your pistol holster and be able to put your magazine pouch. See, if you adjusted it over, you might be able to squeeze it in between right there, or find another location that would work relatively well for it. But those look like it if you wanted to carry a holster. Now, if you have a sidearm and a magazine, a sidearm and a multi-tool, and you had 3 fully loaded AR-15 M16 magazines on the side, you're going to have your canteens right here. Your weight load should be fairly balanced, and So that's something you want to consider when you're playing with that. But I do not have a Beretta. I have a M1911. M1911 magazines will fit in these 9mm magazine pouches. And an M1911 will fit in here. Not ideally, but it will still fit and you can still carry it pretty easily. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to run this as a rifleman's rig. And I'm going to attach my magazine pouches and my canteen pouches and try it on and see how it feels. Well, here it is, completely adjusted. I had to adjust the shoulder straps and the back straps to lift this rig up. Right now the top of the belt buckle is resting right at my navel, and that's a good comfortable position. I could probably adjust it to where it's right on top of my navel. That's where I used to like to wear my LVB when I was in, and it's high enough I can actually access the bottom pockets of my BDU blouse. In the front I got 2 magazines on the top. Keep in mind they will only work with aluminum mags. You cannot get 2 Magpul mags in these. They're a good snug fit just with the aluminum mags, and then there's 1 magazine in the lower. The grenade pouches, unless you actually own grenades, one can be for your field dressing and one could be for your compass, and so that works out really well. It's usable space like that. On my hips I have 2 3-mag pouches, so that gives me an additional 6 magazines. We have my canteens on either side, field training pack in the middle. You can see how that hangs, and the bulk of the weight is pretty much right at the top of my buttocks, but it hangs, it feels nice and comfortable. Yeah, where this is placed, that would be an excellent spot for your holster if you decided to run with 1 magazine pouch over here and the holster right here. I think that's a good position for it, and you definitely would have the room for your magazine pouch right beside it, because the holster would sit just a little further back than the magazine pouch does. So I think that's a pretty good rig, and it's very comfortable. I don't feel any weight in any one spot. It just sort of like hugs you, and like I said, it feels great. Let's go walk around. Well, I personally think this thing wears great. It's not excessively hot. It's actually a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be, and I like it quite a bit. Now, this is a straight up legit LBV 88 enhanced loadout. I mean, I didn't put anything on it that wasn't originally intended to be put on it. My good buddy John, when his reserve unit was preparing for a Desert Storm, his unit was actually given the option of taking the LBV 88 or sticking with their deuce gear. And the thing is, they either had not issued them yet, or they hadn't been developed yet, or they didn't have them in inventory or whatever, but the field pack training, butt pack for this system wasn't available to them. And so the butt pack was such an integral part of their deuce gear that a lot of the guys just refused to take these things and stick with their deuce gear. Something that they knew and worked well. And there were some people that actually, you know, took them and tried to make a regular butt pack work with them, but it didn't work out real well. You know, from everything that I have seen, it just didn't work out real well. The only thing I'm sort of missing is an M16A2. But I'm never going to own an M16A2 or an AR-15A2. I remember when they came out, I picked up a buddy of mine and was patrolling around with it. He said, you know what? This is one of the reasons I do not like a standard AK, because it's so forward heavy. This thing, oh, I love patrolling with this. It's so lightweight, it's so well balanced. I mean, this is what it was designed to be from the get-go. Everything else that came afterwards was a modification or a reimagining of this. And this suits me to a T. Yeah, I'm completely happy with the rig. I do have a line on a CFP90 and the patrol pack, and that would complete the individual integrated fighting system if I also include the military sleep system I already have, because the military sleep system was specifically designed to be part of the individual integrated fighting system, and it fits much better in the CFP90 than it does in any of the Molly variants that I have tried to put it in. It just fits much better, and it rides much better than it does on the large Molly packs. CFP90, what a great pack. I had one for many years, and finally the yoke tore out, and trying to find that as a spare part, good luck. You'll be better, more successful finding where Jimmy Hoff is buried and how many places. But there was one person I spoke with that had the same problem. He had a buddy of his that worked in a machine shop, and he actually made a yoke out of aluminum, and it worked great. So now if I am able to get it, and I do have that same problem in the future, I know exactly how to deal with it, because I actually know a few people that are really good with working with metal. So, well folks, there you have it. The LBV 88 Enhanced. And as soon as I'm able to procure the CFP90 patrol pack, we'll do a little bivouac. Well folks, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.